Amid a crop of disputes, the United States has been ramping up pressure on China. The U.S. Senate has unanimously voted to make it the first country virtually banning all imports from Xinjiang. The bill barring imports from China's Xinjiang has received final congressional approval. The Senate vote sends the bill to President Joe Biden. The Uyghur Forced Labor Protection Act would ban all imports from Xinjiang unless businesses can prove that they were producing without forced labor. Some U.S. businesses had voiced unease about the act. Since Xinjiang is a major source of cotton, an estimated 20% of the garments are imported each year into the U.S. The American government says more than 1 million Uyghurs and other Turkic-speaking Muslims are incarcerated in the Xinjiang camps. China is accused of rooting out their Islamic cultural traditions and forcibly assimilating them into China's Han majority. The United States has described the campaign as genocide. Along with Australia, Britain and Canada, America has planned a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Games next year over the issue. And to clamp down on China's treatment of the Uyghur minority, the U.S. has also slapped new sanctions on dozens of Chinese companies. The Biden government fired off new sanctions over surveillance concerns in Xinjiang. The rights groups say China has been honing new technologies in artificial intelligence and DNA tracking to keep tabs on the Uyghurs. The companies hit by the Treasury Department sanctions include top drone maker DJI Technology. It is by far the world's largest producer of consumer drones. DJI captures more than 70% of the global market. Other companies targeted include Xiamen Mea Peco Information. It has developed a mobile application to track files on the individual's phones. The next is Cloud Walk Technology. It was developed to recognize the faces of the Uyghurs and the Tibetans. Separately, sensitive exports to the Academy of Military Medical Sciences have been restricted. 11 of its research institutes are part of the restrictions. The curbs come over its biotechnology work, including purported brain control weaponry. The U.S. Treasury Department added them to a list of entities suspected of having Chinese military links. The Chinese embassy in Washington called the actions unwarranted suppression that violated free trade rules. It further added that Beijing would be taking all essential measures to uphold the interests of the Chinese companies and the research institutions.
U.S. actions have seriously undermined the principles of market economy and international economic and trade rules, seriously harmed the interests of Chinese organizations and companies. Beijing is strongly dissatisfied and resolutely opposes the actions. We urge the United States to immediately rectify its mistaken ways. China will take all necessary measures to resolutely safeguard the legitimate rights of Chinese organizations and companies.
The latest string of actions could worsen the already rocky relations between Beijing and Washington. Remember, leaders of the two world powers held a virtual meeting last month in an attempt to establish guardrails and prevent the two superpowers from sliding towards conflict. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani is with us on the broadcast from New York. Susan, the United States has imposed fresh sanctions against China over human rights abuses in Xinjiang. With these new measures, is the crunch in supply likely to get worse?
It may. We've already seen the effects on the market, and there was a sense of hesitation initially by the Biden administration because of this very issue and pressure by corporations. But, you know, these abuses have been so widespread on the part of China that it was very difficult for the United States to turn a blind eye on them. And with this bill set forth and led by Senator Marco Rubio, it was really very easy and no-brainer for President Biden to really go ahead with it for the Biden administration. And he really needed this sort of push regarding China and this gain, despite the fact that there really has been a uptick in the severity of relations between the two sides. And, you know, you talk about supply chain, that's only one part of the issue. This issue and these sanctions are really going to harm China's economy a lot more than it would the international economy and the U.S. economy. There is really a push right now to use American-made products on the one hand. I mean, you see the things that will be affected. You have raw cotton, which, yes, 20% is coming from that region, gloves, tomato products, silicone, fishing gear, and a range of solar products. But right now, America's problems really is inflation, is domestic, and I think that's where the focus is going to be. And also, the issue that the United States will have with companies in Xinjiang is going to be that they want to see robust monitoring of their bases in that region. And moving forward, that's going to be to the benefit of the United States.
Right. Now, this said, Cold War between China and the U.S. Continues to worsen. China has vowed to respond against the American sanctions. What do you have to say about the two world powers' worsening relationship?
Yeah, it's relations are at a critical point between the two sides. Some call it at an all-time low, considering the fact that we did recently see that, call between Xi Jinping and the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, sort of trying to work together, although informally, against the West on the one hand, and on the other hand, these set of sanctions against China on the part of the United States. We're seeing this administration take somewhat an aggressive stance. Sorry, it's very windy here. Against China on the one hand, but then on the other hand, we see China's rhetoric as well. So yes, the situation is tense, but then China hopes that with its Winter Olympics, it will sort of one-up the United States. So we'll wait and see. From a very windy New York City, I'm going to send it back to you, Molly.
Wait and see, indeed. We can leave it there for the moment. Thanks very much for those updates. Susan Tehrani getting us those updates from New York. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.